Bring a plate. What is that? My parents brought a whole dinner set to a barbecue that they said bring a plate. They were like, what, don't they have any plates?
North of Auckland, with the Pohutakawa dotted bays...
Getting into my lifetime and still they came, with dreams of a South Seas workers' paradise.
And my mother said, pick me, because she had one dream in her childhood, and that was to go to New Zealand, because she'd heard that you can go to New Zealand and there are streets lined with gold.
Everybody expected you were going to America, where you were instantly rich.
I think many of the Dalmatian migrants came here and were disappointed. But were they going to turn back and say so? Were they going to go back to their villages that they came from and say, well, actually, I failed?
But after a few years of hard work, you actually advanced.
It was a very hard reality here in terms of having to work as much as anywhere to make good. But the point is that you could make good.
Few things in life are certain, but you can be pretty sure that where there's a deli family, there's a patch of dirt, however small, growing the staples such as beans, olives, figs, and grapes. And only a couple of generations, the delis have made good all right, doing what they do best, and that's growing and making wine. And that little patch of dirt has now become a bloody great vineyard.
50 or 60 years ago, some used to call it Dally Plonk simply because, there was a lot of backyarders in those days. But gradually, as there became more interest in wine and the laws changed to allow consumption of wine in restaurants, then the swing came to the more classical varieties, and, it's been a quantum leap. I mean, what's been achieved here in New Zealand has taken centuries in Europe. But they came here with a single-minded purpose of establishing an industry, and it was done on hard yakka.
The Kiwi palate preferred port and sherry and feared that vile Austrian decoction would be used to seduce our Sheilas. In 1914, Prime Minister Massey called Dally Plonk degrading, demoralising, and sometimes maddening.
If we planted marijuana, it will be better treated than we are, because law was wrong. The Viticultural Association fought and law to introduce the wine in the restaurant, in the supermarket.
I don't think today new winemakers would realize what hard times we had in those early days.
So kapai to the delis for their perseverance. By the 1960s, 75% of the wine industry were delis. And now?
3 of our rich list, New Zealand rich list of deli winemakers. I mean, what's that about? Who knew?
Perhaps even better known than the deli winemakers are names like Telly, Vela and Siminovich. The Kiwi fishing industry is dominated by successful delis too. Is there something in the deli blood that's just brilliant at business?
Yes.
Making money is about making sure you will never be hungry. Number one, making sure your fridge is full.
Making money was extremely important because you didn't have any. So working, it wasn't actually so much making money, it was working.
That's what ethnic children did. They worked at home to help the family.
The best thing you could say about somebody was that he was a hard worker. And I suspect that was the same for many others. Work was almost a religion in a sense.
Dad's hard-working ethic carried through. I mean, we used to practice 7 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Generally don't kick up a fuss too much. I think that is a generalisation, and just want to get on and work hard and look after their families.
The land we now know as Croatia has been a political football for hundreds of years.
Croatia, my country that I was born in, has had an extremely turbulent history. It's belonged to every major power in Europe from the 7th century.
For the delis I've met in New Zealand, the homeland can mean many things.
We were one, now we're 6.
Republika Hrvatska, Republika Bosna and Herzegovina, Republika of Serbia, Republic of Montenegro, Republic of Macedonia, and Republic of Slovenia.
A lot of people were very upset about losing the term Yugoslavia because we were known as the Yugoslavs.
I remember when Yugoslavia broke up in the early 90s. I was in England playing rugby league for Wigan and watched the bloodshed and horror on British TV.
Yeah, I've been back to the former Yugoslavia, and I saw this whole building side, just the whole wall was gone, and there was these children inside their apartment, and they had these little plastic guns playing soldiers. And then this little kid came out. He just started bashing the car that I was in. This is a little boy, you know. He was like about 5 years old, and the anger and the hatred he exerted towards me was just unbelievable.
It was around then that a new generation of Croatian migrants started to settle in New Zealand.
These people tended to be much better educated, typically from the cities, and regarded themselves often as political, economic, or social refugees. The impact back in New Zealand upon these Dalmatians and their descendants was to force them to consider who they really were, as some supported the new Croatia, some supported the old Yugoslavia that was represented by Belgrade. And this, of course, was manifested in the tensions between the clubs and voluntary associations.
Frano, everybody's welcome here. A lot of, after this war and back home, mixed marriages, they were not welcome anywhere, but they're welcome here.
Okay, so Delhis in New Zealand have been known as Austrians, Yugoslavs, Croatians, Dalmatians and Hrvati. At what point did they start to feel they were New Zealanders? And at what point did New Zealand start to actually accept these guys? Was it when we grew up and got over our fear of wine and Mediterranean food? It wasn't that many years ago when heaps of Delhis were called weird for eating squid, garlic, olive oil and anchovies. Now all those things are not only trendy, but they're commonplace. Was it when the few Delhis who were allowed to joined up and died for New Zealand? Or was it when some of the Delhi athletes like Oni Perrin, Greg Yelovich, Nick Hunkovic, Frank Novolo, and Anna Simsek actually started to win for New Zealand? And how did the Delhis themselves figure out where to call home?
Home is where the family is. Home is the family. It's the most important thing to the Dalmatians that they keep together.
Family is number one and always will be, you know. Blood is thicker than water.
After 39 years, I am a Kiwi. I think I am a Kiwi.
Good old Kiwi.
But a Delhi Kiwi, I suppose, a mixture. When I'm here, I'm a Delhi.
It's really the point at which you decide where you want your body to be buried. And if you have decided to be buried in New Zealand, then you belong here.
He built mausoleum in Waikomiti 25 years ago. Thank goodness it's still empty. But so it must be our home, definitely is New Zealand. You love our country where we were born, but this is our home, it's not dead.
That's all right, yeah.
Yes.